Trump's military threats, treason, or just Tuesday for these clowns? Listen up, because if you've been paying even half attention to the circus in Washington, you know that Donald Trump and his merry band of GOP bootlickers are out here floating the idea of turning American troops loose on everyday citizens like it's no big deal, as if Article Roman 3, Section 3 of the Constitution isn't screaming treason from every goddamn page. And yeah, I said it, treason, because last I checked, levying war against the United States, or giving aid and comfort to its enemies, isn't some optional side quest for presidents who throw tantrums when they don't get their way. This isn't hyperbole or some wild lefty fever dream. It's straight from the founders who figured they'd locked down the basics after watching kings play soldier with their own people. But here we are in 2025 with a guy who treats the Oval Office like his personal revenge bunker, casually chatting about deploying the National Guard or active duty forces against protesters, immigrants, or anyone who dares to disagree with his golf course decrees. Let's break it down without the fluff, because nobody has time for your feelings on this one Article Roman 3. Section 3 spells it out crystal clear in words even a toddler could grasp if they weren't busy building walls out of MAGA hats. Treason against the United States consists only in levying war against them, or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort, and no amount of Fox News spin or Truth Social rants can twist that into a permission slip for using the military as your private goon squad on home soil. Trump's been at this game since his first rodeo, remember 2020, when he sixed federal agents on Portland protesters like they were auditioning for a bad cop movie. Or how about his recent jaw-droppers in 2025, where he's doubled down on sending troops into Democratic cities like New York or LA too? Clean up the radical left lunatics, as if American voters are the enemy now and not the whole point of this democracy charade, and the GOP. Oh, please, they're right there clapping like trained seals, with senators and reps who swore oaths to the Constitution now bending over backward to rubber stamp whatever orange-tinted fever dream Trump wakes up with. Because apparently defending the Republic means nothing when there's donor cash and primary challenges on the line. We've got Trump addressing flag officers at Quantico, yanking them off real missions to hear his battle cry about a war from within, threatening military intervention in blue strongholds. And it's not just talk. Look at the California National Guard fiasco, where he federalized 300 troops to ship them to Portland against a court order, leaving the state short-handed for actual emergencies like that January firestorm that torched LA neighborhoods while his ego trip played out. Governor Newsom called it what it is, a breathtaking abuse of power, turning the military into a political weapon against citizens. But does Congress haul him in for impeachment? Hell no, because half of them are too busy kissing the ring or too spineless to risk the wrath of the base that thinks this is strong leadership. The painful truth that keeps me up at night, and should have you chaining yourself to the ballot box, is that accountability isn't even on the menu until we flip this mess upside down, because right now Congress and the courts are stacked like a Trump casino deck. Every judge a handpicked loyalist who'd sooner salute a golf club than uphold the rule of law. Every rep and senator either appointed in his image or terrified of the primary purge if they step out of line. Think about it, the Supreme Court's a MAGA fever dream with rulings that greenlight everything from gerrymandering marathons to voter roll purges, and Congress. It's a rubber stamp factory where bills to check executive overreach go to die quieter than a whistleblower in witness protection. Trump's already floating plans to invoke the Insurrection Act or the Alien Enemies Act to unleash troops on invasions that are mostly desperate families at the border. And with a DOJ that's more mob enforcer than Justice Department, who's going to stop him when he decides Portland 2.0 needs tanks rolling down Main Street. This is why the midterms in 2026 aren't just another election. They're the goddamn do-or-die reset button for a country teetering on the edge of full-blown authoritarian cosplay, more crucial than the 2024 clusterfuck we just survived because those votes only got us here. staring down the barrel of unchecked power that could end with troops guarding polling places or seizing voting machines under the guise of election integrity. History's screaming at us every midterm since forever has been a referendum on the president, and with Trump's approval tanking harder than a lead balloon thanks to botched deportations, tariff tantrums that jacked up grocery bills, and that Epstein stink that won't wash off. The waves building for a blue tsunami if we don't blow it by sitting on our asses. Democrats are already mapping it out. Flip the House to unleash oversight hearings that'll drag every shady deal into the light, from the White House ballroom boondoggle to the cartel terrorist. Designations that are just code for mass roundups without due process, and snag enough Senate seats to block the judicial fire sale that's turning courts into Trump echo chambers. But don't kid yourself. It won't be a cakewalk because Trump's not sleeping on this. He's got his billion-dollar machine cranking out super PAC cash to rig primaries, squash any non-loyalist challengers, and flood swing districts with fear-mongering ads about radical Democrats destroying America. While his crew redraws maps in Texas and Ohio to squeeze out a few extra seats like it's just good old-fashioned gerrymandering Tuesday. He's even talking a midterm convention. To whip up the base, promising to stump in Macomb County or Pennsylvania suburbs where his magic still sways the Rust Belt zombies, who by the promises kept line despite the economy wheezing under his trade wars and Medicaid slashes that left folks choosing between pills and rent. Republicans know the math sucks for them defending 22 Senate seats to Dems' 13, a House majority thinner than Trump's patience for facts, but they're betting on apathy and outrage to keep the trifecta intact, because a Democratic Congress means investigations, subpoenas. Maybe even a third impeachment that sticks this time around, and let's not gloss over the subversion playbook they're dusting off. Threats to gut mail-in voting, CISA slash to ribbons so election security's a joke, and whispers of federal agents monitoring. Urban precincts that could turn November 2026 into a dystopian poll-watching nightmare straight out of a bad sci-fi flick. Election officials like Maine's Shenna Bellows are sounding alarms, vowing to fight tooth and nail because the feds aren't protecting Jack, they're targeting admins who won't play ball, forcing states to foot the bill for safeguards while Trump's crew whispers about voter fraud. That's mostly code for suppressing brown and young votes. The stakes. If we don't flip it, Trump sails through the back half of his term like a dictator on a joyride, ramming through Project 2026 schemes that lock in GOP control for a decade, from certifying stolen wins to certifying stolen rights. And we're left holding the bag for a democracy that looks more like a monarchy with bad hair. Folks, this isn't about party loyalty or lesser evils. It's about clawing back the basics, a government that serves people instead of one orange overlord, courts that aren't for sale, and a military that fights abroad, not our own streets. The midterms are your Molotov cocktail in this powder keg, the one shot to make accountability mandatory again, to remind these clowns that power's borrowed, not owned, and if we blow it, don't come crying when the troops roll up to your door for asking too many questions. Get registered, get pissed, get voting like your freedoms depend on it, because spoiler, they do. Sinister circus of delusion people out here really got the nerve to say that the orange testicle in roller skates is chosen by God. I swear, every time I hear that claim, a brain cell packs its bags and leaves my head. Since when does causing chaos, division, corruption, hatred, and a fan club of people who treat cruelty like a love language qualify someone as God's chosen? If that's the standard now, someone better go apologize to every villain in history, because apparently we owe them divine respect. Let's get something straight. Jesus died protecting humanity from everything the devil represents, and somehow folks are trying to swing the story into believing that a man whose entire personality is a highlight reel of what Jesus stood against is suddenly the heaven-approved leader of earth. How does that math work? If God wanted a representative of compassion, humility, honesty, and service, why would he pick a man who has turned greed into his morning coffee and vengeance into his nightly prayer? It's wild how these self-proclaimed believers skip over the teachings they claim to follow and jump straight into turning politics into a cult. I mean, God really out here making oceans, mountains, and galaxies, and people think the grand divine plan was to drop the orange testicle in roller skates into a golf cart and call him the Messiah. This is why aliens keep flying by and refusing to land. A chosen one, in case anyone forgot, lifts people up. A chosen one brings unity, healing, hope, courage, and compassion. A chosen one does not inspire people to attack the weak, mock the disabled, worship guns like they're holy artifacts, and treat their neighbor like an enemy if they don't salute the same flag. If your anointed leader gets more applause for cruelty than kindness, congratulations, you joined a political fan club with demonic customer service. Now look at timing, because timing always exposes truth. The Pope came right when darkness was trying to grow its own reality show. When the enemy tried to manifest, when evil wanted to walk around like it owned the place, God made sure there was a voice reminding us that humility and love haven't gone extinct. The Pope's presence at this moment in history was no accident. His existence has been a mirror reflecting what's holy and what's a hot bowl of corruption with a side of arrogance. Because of that, the devil was exposed and Jesus shook us awake like, "Get up, you're letting clowns run the circus again." And then there's Mamdani, chosen by God not because he screams his faith at people, not because he shows up in churches pretending to care, but because he embodies love, courage, truth, dignity, and advocacy for the forgotten and mistreated. But notice this. The same crowd obsessed with worshiping the orange testicle in roller skates is out here trying to destroy Mamdani's name, his mission, and his character. They're dragging him through the mud, claiming they're leaving New York because of him. It's almost comedic that the people who swear they follow God cannot stand the sight of someone actually serving God's purpose. If a person lifts up the poor, fights for the oppressed, speaks for the silent, and protects the vulnerable, and a cult of cruelty hates him for it, you already know who belongs to God and who's sponsored by something far darker. It has never been complicated. It has always been about fruit. You don't need to be a theologian to figure this out. If someone claims to follow God and yet celebrates greed, bigotry, violence, and corruption, then guess what? They are not following God. They are groupies of the devil, and they don't even receive dental benefits. The Bible said we would know them by their fruits. And baby, some of these people are serving spiritual rotten bananas and demonic mangoes. Their fruit is spoiled, moldy, and full of worms, but they're still trying to convince the world it's organic, holy produce. Meanwhile, Mamdani is showing fruit that actually nourishes people. His work is grounded in justice, community, and love. And of course, the cult hates him. They hated Jesus too. Darkness has always despised the light because the light exposes everything they try to hide. You will always know who serves God and who serves the devil by who they demonize and who they praise. If they scream loyalty to a man drowning in scandals, cruelty, and corruption, and they attack the one advocating for humanity, you already know which kingdom they represent. Some of these people talk about patriotism, but they don't want freedom for all. They want control, dominance, and fear. That's not God's work. That's a spiritual scam on clearance sale. We're living in a time when people are choosing sides. Not Democrat or Republican, not left or right, but light or darkness, compassion or hate, justice or oppression. And it's sad but also hilarious watching people pretend they don't see the difference. Their souls see it, their spirit feels it, but their ego won't let them admit it. Truth doesn't need permission to be truth, it just stands, so let this be the reminder. A chosen one does not break the world apart. A chosen one heals it. A chosen one does not encourage hatred. A chosen one waters love. And no matter how loud the cult screams, no matter how many lies they recycle like expired coupons, God's truth does not bow to their delusions. Follow, like, and share this video to stay connected, and I appreciate all of them. Love always, Santiago DC Maria, the Queen of Crowning Thoughts, because I speak without filters and say it like it is.